Thomas Shelby has a reputation to uphold.
The Peaky Blinders are a family, a criminal gang.
The second oldest brother, Tommy Shelby, decides that he's going to go for the big time, and he starts an expansion of the gang.
Basically, Series 2 is Tommy Shelby tries to take over the world. The pressure's much larger on him, the weight of the world, and he's even more on his own and treading his own path.
And at the same time as wanting to expand the illegal empire, his ultimate ambition is to establish a legal business.
In the first series, when he's just been spat out from the First World War and, you know, come back a bit damaged by what he's experienced and what he's seen, and having that lack of respect for authority means that he's just like, right, I'm going to take what I can get. The next target is London.
Getting involved with the London gangs, which is obviously getting him into a much deeper hole than he ever anticipated.
These guys are obviously the most feared and respected gang in Birmingham, but you know, going to London, that's a whole different level.
It's all the family problems and the suffering that can come with that, and the strain that myself and Paul Anderson's character and the rest of us are put under through what Tommy's doing.
Anyone like Tommy who is so good at what he does attracts the attention of powerful people who he has to use all of his skills and his wits to survive.
I think Stephen's writing in the first series was great, but I think in the second series is superb.
He's weaved this web involving so many different characters. We've tried to create a bigger world. It's a much bigger palette.
And there's much more going on, and we have our fingers in many more pies. It's a little bit more hectic and a bit more faster, and that's what you're talking about this season. So from the first episode, it just goes from there.
It's big. You know, it's on a different level this year. It's the whole scope of the thing. I mean, before we thought it was big, and they've really upped it a notch.
Contacts in the racing world. Yeah, Michael, you drive. Thomas Shelby. Tommy, down! No! Tommy Shelby and that fucking Arthur!
Gillian is the key to all of this, honestly. We want Tommy to do well. I think the audience want him to survive, but he acts it so incredibly well. You know, you genuinely have a huge emotion for him as a character.
Sometimes I'm looking into his eyeballs going, oh God, you could play it all big and out there, but making him quite internal, it's just as intimidating as someone growling at you. His business is his love, and that's the one thing that he feels he can have control over.
Sometimes it's shocking to see him transform into Tommy Shelby. It's a testament to a great actor. He just is the perfect guy for Tommy Shelby.
He's an extraordinary talent, and he's a terrifically decent human being. He's a leader, and he's a lovely man, and he's wildly, wildly talented.
Tommy's composed, got a lot going on, and he takes it all in his stride, and Gillian's very subtle and understated, and it's great to watch, yeah.
Sometimes I look at him on set, and he is a boss. He's effortless with it.
You may question Tommy's morals, but you know, these guys, the word moral I don't think applies. Pretty heavy history between Inspector Campbell and Tommy. Obviously there's a complicated love triangle there as well, which continues to bubble in this season, and Campbell's wickedness and hatred for Tommy is just being compounded by Tommy's sort of success and expansion. So the two men couldn't hate each other more. You shouldn't love Campbell, but you love him. You just can't help but love him, and that's the brilliance of Sam's performance.
Just done a film called Lock with Tom Hardy. And he was brilliant, and we got on really well. And I said, take a look at this, see what you think. And he said, yes.
Tom Hardy is an exceptional actor to work with because he's one of the biggest movie stars in the world at the moment. And he's everything that you would hope that he might be on set, what he brings to scenes. He's unpredictable, charismatic, aggressive.
He comes against Sabini, the Sabini gang, and the Solomon gang. They're quite formidable. His biggest threat, interestingly, is Campbell.
Chester Campbell's mission is to clean up the police, clean up the gangs. He's capable of great violence. He can be brutal and beastly. But on the other hand, he believes he's on the side of the angels.
Campbell is really the one who represents the opposite to Tommy. But, you know, as an opposite, you're also a reflection, I think, and so the two of them do have a great deal in common.
It's great. I mean, it's kind of like every scene is like, you know, a ding-ding around to Tommy or ding-ding around to Campbell, and it's a constant game of one-upmanship the whole time between the two of them, and they almost seem to enjoy watching the other squirm. Yeah, it's great to play those scenes.
And it's been very interesting and rewarding working with Cillian Murphy. I think he's an outstanding actor and a very nice bloke. And we've had a lot of fun.
Right! Peaky Blinders again on fucking holiday! Sit down, you mad bastard! Fucking...
There is something about family aspect that is so crucial. This season,
there are sociopathic elements in the family, it's got to be said.
Based on the reality of a lot of people who have faced war is that they cease to care so much about the physical consequences to themselves because they've seen people being blown to pieces. So all of the normal rules no longer apply. And I think that Tommy Shelby has a heightened sense of protecting the family and a reduced sense of protecting himself.
You know, he wants to protect his family. He loves his family. He wants them to be close to him, but also he obviously wants to expand.
When he has his brothers coming in to help him, you know, he knows that Arthur is a loose cannon. He knows that Joe is trying to be a bigger man, and Tommy keeps him in his place.
Arthur in particular is in a bad way, and it sort of makes him useful to the gang as well.
Series 1, we saw him upstaged by his brother Tommy. Tommy comes back, he's got more ambition, bigger scope, much bigger than Arthur's, and takes over, which sends Arthur off onto this downward spiral of this competitiveness against his brother, the sibling rivalry.
What's brilliant is the tension between the brothers, always, and so well written. And I think that the bigger tension lies between Joe's character, John, and Tommy. It seems that John is testing Tommy a lot. And Tommy, while he's impressed by that, is kind of pushing him away.
I think he idolises the Peaky Blinders moniker and the whole image. I don't think he's probably quite got it in him, not for want of trying. But I don't think he's cut from quite the same cloth as Tommy is. Tommy's very, you know, malicious and cutthroat. And I think John is more the heart of the story.
John, there's a forced... I mean, he's married now, and his wife would sort of quite like to get him away from all of this. And so, at the same time, he still wants to rise up through the hierarchy, so he's quite conflicted.
I think he sort of grows up and he becomes more of a man. And in this series, you definitely see a more mature John as someone who's pulling the strings back in Birmingham, while Tommy and Arthur are off, you know, building the empire.
In the first season, we didn't see the true strength of us brothers until the second episode. In this new season, you see it straight away.
When they're like all together, when they go down to the club in London and then smash it up and then hit the town, and you see the real power of them and the love that they have for each other.
Gentlemen, there's been a mistake. I'm afraid you're going to have to leave. Some of the men here recognise you from the racetracks in the north. They say you are the Peaky Blinders. Peaky scum! Get out.
You fight for the king in an absurd war, in the war to end all wars. You come back, and all the thanks you get is you've got two choices, really, if you're poor. You can either be a gangster Or you could be a trade unionist. And to depict that most honest of British stories, as yet untold, really, I think was an important step.
We're mythologizing British gangsters and British working class, which the Americans do so wonderfully and we have never done successfully, and doing it hopefully on a big scale. The classic gangster storyline of attempting to go legitimate but constantly being pulled back down into that criminal world.
This strange duality where on the one side he's driven by a desire to own and win and take over and become, you know, part of the ruling elite, and on the other hand he's very faithful to his family, and you know, family is incredibly important to him.
Well, there's a new girl in town, and she's so beautiful and she's so good in this, and I think a different flavor for Tommy. We knew he was broken to bits when we first saw him, and he had his heart broken.
Is such an unlikely relationship because she is from not aristocracy but from landed gentry. He's obviously a gangster, but it's an indicative of the times because that sort of thing was really happening. In the same club you'd get gangsters, aristocrats, I mean real aristocrats like royal family, actors, or artists, all sorts of people all together, and you would have these relationships developing, so it's just looking at how that happens.
I enjoyed it because it really worked well with my character because she's been around, she's well educated, she's met all kinds of walks of life, different people. And I think while it slightly unnerves her to begin with, I think she's able to match him in that. She doesn't fill the gaps because he's not saying anything. She's quite happy to sit in silence if that's what he's projecting out. But it was good because it was quite nice to see how the characters were what I'd done with mine and what he'd done with Tommy, how they matched quite well, and quite, you know, that when finding those still beats was good fun because I'm not too sure that there's that many of the characters in it where he has that.
In series one there was an attempt to deaden the pain of the war amongst a lot of the people. I think in this series it's people just trying to forget things just by enjoying themselves and having fun, and a lot of hedonism, a lot of drinking, and it was a cocaine era, you know, and everything was fast and jazz and crazy chaos, and that's something that I want to try and capture in this.
Series 1 was opium and series 2 was cocaine. And so in the way that series 1 was about oblivion and searching for some kind of escape, you know, the relationship with Grace and all of that, series 2 is about hunger, ambition, desire, and teeth grinding, I suppose.
Those of you who are last will soon be first. And those of you who are downtrodden will rise up. Yep. You know where to find us?
Yeah, well, there's strong female characters in it. Aunt Polly, our sister, Esme. Women have a great voice.
What's brilliantly unconventional about this show is that you have this matriarchal figure, which is Polly, played wonderfully by Helen McCrory, but she's not their mother, she's their aunt, and she would be the one, if Tommy did die, that would take over, for sure. And I think she's the sort of the one who knows Tommy the most and understands what's going on in his head, is able to read him best. And her storyline in this season is just amazing, and she's phenomenal in it. It shows her struggling with that sort of the gangster matriarch and this being a mother.
She defends her family throughout the series, really, whether it's Grace, who was double-crossing Tommy, whether it was Arthur's own demons, and she's the sort of female breath, really, through the piece. I don't feel, for instance, Polly is necessarily an inherent violent woman, but she will have turned to violence in order to defend herself. Equally with Tommy, we know the First World War's brutalised him, but he's he's a very intelligent man. And together, I mean, Tommy is really the person she's closest to. They manage the sons, and just like in any family, there are the problem children, there are the ones that are succeeding, there are the people that they looked after as well when they come back.
Polly, such a strong character, and And also, I feel like my character's really developed and is a strong woman. All of them, I think that's really exciting and rare. Gypsy women, they're born to breed and to look after their family. And for Esme to then join the Shelby family, there's a change in her for season 2, which I felt like contradicted those traditions and that idea. She tries to really push herself into the business. And she's slightly torn because I think the idea of the business spreading, even though they're perfectly successful where they are and you know, and taking over London, I think she genuinely is scared about that.
Shelby Company Limited is now very successful. But London, I have kin in Shepherd's Bush and Portobello. It's more like wars between armies down there.
I do think that she's inspired by Polly, and Polly runs the roost, you know, she rules the roost. She knows exactly what she's doing, and most of the time she's probably the only person that's actually making any sense. There's like a big surge now of, not only in film but TV as well, of like really strong female characters, but I think that's exciting for everybody. I don't even think it's necessarily just women that enjoy that. It's written really truthfully. I don't think it's like, well, let's put a strong woman in there so women enjoy it. And I think we have one strong woman draws lots of other strong women. So I think that's why there's so many good female characters in there.
I mean, Polly really is a fixture. She needs to be there to hold up a mirror to Tommy and say, this is who you are. She's so scary at some point and so vulnerable. At other times, she can do it with a look, you know. The female characters are, I hope, strong and central, and they're certainly not just the other half of a relationship. They are main players within the whole thing.
I'm sorry.
You tell a soul in this family, and I swear I will cut you.
I don't need a knife to stop me telling secrets given in confidence. It is a matter of honor.
To do a series 2 after a very successful series 1 is very hard.
There are approximately 3 times as many locations and more than twice as many cast in Peaky Blinders this year. It's a much bigger world. It's not just the world of Birmingham, it's the world outside of that too. It's London, and it's the empire ultimately for Tommy Shelby.
I think that there is a point whereby Tommy Shelby's world can only last so long just because of all the risks he's going to start taking. And I think he's going to start taking bigger risks in the next series.
Tommy Shelby was dealt a very good hand in Series 1. He got the guns, and he knew how to play it. Series 2, he's dealt a bad hand. And the measure of a man is what you do with that bad hand, what happens when he's really under pressure.
The Shelby family can go on, that they have the ability to move on to the next phase of their life, you know?
Peaky Blinders is spearheading something that's different, that's bold and original and daring, and I'm very excited to be part of that. You know, you can't help but get sucked into this world.
I've never been part of something like that where you don't know what's going to happen. And I can sit here now and speculate, but I don't know. I'll see what Stephen wants to, where he wants to take it. I'll just wait in excitement to see what happens to him. What will become of Arthur? Do you think he'll meet his end? And whatever it'll be great.
This could just go on and on and on, which I hope it does, because it's so good. Even if I'm not in it, I just want to watch it.
You know, once you start off on a high standard, you can only take it further.
And then you see the start of what might be coming, where we try and break America.
He doesn't want to be in trouble. He just wants to get on with his life. But he seems to be involved with so many dreadfully difficult people, including the IRA, to the Sabini gang, Solomon gang.
It's getting bigger, it's getting richer, and as a result of that, it's getting more dangerous, and they're entering areas of even greater jeopardy.
Can they survive, out of their comfort zone? Will this work, or have they just taken one step too far?